Aloha, friends. This is Chaplain Kenny. It's your lucky day. You've got here just in time for another episode of Deathbed Living with Chaplain Kenny. Hey, folks. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Glad to have you here. I wanted to touch on something that I wanted to go into a little more detail about something I touched on last night. Because I mentioned how it would be pretty much impossible for anybody to convince me that there is no God. I mentioned some miraculous things that had happened in my life, and I wanted to share one of them with you today. I try to make this as brief as possible. Ooh, I thought I saw a box turtle on the road, but it was a piece of tire. Anyway, okay, hey, yeah, so way back in the day when I was a new believer, man, I gotta tell you, I also touched on this in the video about my testimony. Man, I was so on fire for God, if I can use that term. I was so excited about my relationship with Jesus, man. I witnessed to folks. I shared my faith with folks all the time. As a matter of fact, a lot of folks probably didn't want to hear it. I know a lot didn't want to hear it. Lots of folks wouldn't want to get trapped in a room with me back then, you know. I was a new believer, and man, was I ever excited. All I ever want to do is talk about Jesus, and that hasn't changed, folks. I love talking about Jesus today. You can call it cheesy, corny. I don't really care. Oh, wait, I don't want to be rude, but I don't care. It's not going to change anything. You can call me crazy, call me whatever you want. You make fun of me, you mock me. It doesn't matter, man, because on Judgment Day, that's what all this is about. On Judgment Day, I'm going to be, actually, you'll be able to find me pretty easily. If you're looking for me, I'm going to be the one hugging on Jesus. I'm a bear hugging for being so patient with me and having so much mercy on me every day of my life. I was excited about Jesus, and I wasn't ashamed of him, and I'm still not ashamed of him. But I shared my faith all the time back then, and I used to have this thing. It was a Witness in New Testament. It was a little blue New Testament Bible. It was about the size of my pocket, maybe about the size of a chip bag. You know, they used to give away those little New Testaments in church back then. But they were more about the size of a pack of cigarettes, just thinner. You know, this one was a little bigger. It had some notes in it and stuff for when you're sharing your faith. It would tell you which verses to go to and all that good stuff, you know. But I used it a lot back then. And one thing I did to this little blue New Testament is also, back then I worked for record companies. I was on the road for about 10 years. And one band that, man, I loved so much and still love to this day was Savior Machine. Hey, Eric Clayton is a good buddy of mine. Anyway, back then for this Savior Machine 1 record that we had sold into the stores, we had a promo album that came out. It was called Extreme Truth, if I remember correctly, and it was on Intense Records. And if these stickers that I had to promo that Extreme Truth thing, they had a picture of Eric, my buddy. It's a profile shot of him screaming really loud, you know, with big cross earring. Anyways, to promote that record. And I had a stack of those things, but it wasn't something that we sold in the stores. It was just a promo item that they printed up those things for radio, for, you know, just to promote the record. Nothing for sale. And I put one of those stickers on the front of that Bible, and on the back of that Bible I had a Mortal sticker. Y'all like Mortal? Remember Jerome and Gyro? Man, I love that band too. So this was a very unique New Testament because it had these stickers on it that you couldn't just pick up in the store, okay? But one time I was witnessing to somebody and felt compelled to give him that Bible. And I did. And that was in the early 90s, I would say. Well, fast forward to a couple of years ago. After I worked for the record companies, I got a job at AT&T. And I worked at AT&T for almost 18 years. But I rode public transportation for about 10 of those years, and just a couple of years ago, woke up in the morning and I was really sad in my spirit and my heart. A pastor friend of mine had really broken me somehow. I don't know what he said. Something very hurtful. I don't know what it was or who it was. I don't even remember. But what I do remember is the event that followed, and it's one we'll tell about right now. Anyway, I was crying. I was praying and crying in the morning, you know, asking the Lord to heal my heart, you know. I was feeling a lot of pain, and I continued praying and crying at the bus stop, and then got on the bus that day, sat in my chair, and still praying and crying. I mean, not crazy where it was obvious, okay? I hide it well. But I'm sitting there in my bus seat. Certain seats on the bus face the front, like towards the windshield, and certain seats on the bus, like when you first get on, they face towards the center of the bus, so the seats face each other, you know what I mean? Anyway, I was sitting on one of the ones that face the windshield, you know, face this way, and I'm sitting there praying, you know, with my head down, and I raised my head up and had to take my glasses off to wipe my eyes, wipe the tears from my eyes. And when I did, and when I got a little focus, I noticed that there was a fella sitting in the bench across from me on the bus. He was reading that Bible, my friends. That Bible from 30 years ago. I'm not kidding you. Do you realize the odds of this? Is there any way that can happen? I'm not lying to you, friends. I promise you, before Jesus, I'm telling you right now that I'm telling you the truth. I had given that Bible away 30 years ago. It was one of a kind. There was only one of those Bibles on this planet. And that very morning, that particular bus route, that particular time, everything had to be exactly precise. I had to even look up at precisely the right time, and we had to sit in precisely the right place on that bus for me to see that Bible. Woo! Getting excited now, folks. I'm telling you that God is real, okay? You're not going to convince me otherwise. There ain't no way. That was a miracle from God, and that's just all there is to it. Okay? I wish I could win the lottery or something. That would be awesome. But this was even better, folks, because it really helped solidify my faith. It really brought my spirits up that particular day. It's turned into a testimony for me to share with you right now. You know, I went and sat by that dude, and sat kind of right in the seat right across from him, and shared a little bit of the story. He looked at me like I was nuts, and he asked if I wanted the Bible, and I said no. I want him to keep it, because he said he wanted to go and become I think he wanted to be a youth pastor or a drug counselor or something. You know, he had just done some time. I'm telling you the truth, folks, man. This was just crazy, okay? But it's straight up the truth, and I hope it's encouraged your faith today. I love you, folks, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. God bless you.